Howdy y'all. It is my honor to call to session the 23rd session of the 55th Senate. With that, if all of those willing and able could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That will now be moving into our land acknowledgement.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is a traditional and ancestral homeland of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This is also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native nations.
We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
Phenomenal. With that, we'll now be moving into the swearing in of new senators and associates. If you are a new senator or associate, or if you're switching positions, if you could please join us at the front.
I state your name.
I, Renee Kersey,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
the
duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
Congrats. With that, we'll now be moving into beginning roll call.
Speaker of the Senate, Reese.
Present.
Speaker Pro Tempore Ying.
Present.
Parliamentarian Falbo.
Present.
Officer Eddington.
Present.
Senator Rodriguez. Present. Senator Farfan.
Present.
Senator Bashow. Senator Bennett. Associate Senator Yalong. Associate Senator Choi. Officer Diggs. Present. Senator Chalk. Chairman Auntie.
Present.
Senator Roberts. Senator Rivera. Associate Senator Wilkin. Present. Associate Senator Cure.
Present.
Senator Johnson.
Present.
Senator Pata Perez.
Present.
Senator Dusterberg,
Present.
Senator Jameson, Senator Ornelas,
Present.
Senator Grenier, Chair Casada Stoner, Senator Leggett, Senator Vega,
Present.
Associate Senator Gonzalez, Chair McLaughlin, Senator Hansen, Senator Batchanin,
Present.
Senator Grant, Senator Bone,
Present.
Senator Mendoza,
Present.
Associate Senator Pratt, present. Senator Hernandez,
Present.
Associate Senator Pendleton,
Present.
Senator Frisky, Senator Fan,
Present.
Chair Leary,
Present.
Associate Senator Ullman, Associate Senator Pearson, Senator Jama,
Present.
Senator Jeffries,
Here.
Associate Senator Grube, Chair Hill, Associate Senator Vogel, Chair Gilroy,
Online.
and Senator Singleton.
Present.
Thank you. Additionally, if you're new or if you switch positions, if you can make sure to sign in all of your information at the front and be either Farron or I, that would be phenomenal after Senate. But with that, we'll now be moving into consent agenda. Is there any dissent to this agenda? Senator Hernandez.
Motion to add Bill 5540 funding the CSU Lavender Cabinet to the agenda at the bottom of old business due to scheduling concerns.
Awesome. I heard a second. Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, that'll be reflected. Is there any other dissent to this agenda? I would additionally entertain a motion to add the onboarding legislation as well as the renaming of the Budgetary Affairs Committee to the consent agenda. This being because they were endorsed by all the committees they were sent to, so I don't think they'll be too contentious. If someone would like to make that motion.
I motion to do what Brooke said.
Phenomenal. Is there a second to do what Brooke said?
Second.
Cool. Is there anything to say? Awesome. With that, we'll now, is there any other dissent to this agenda? Awesome. With that, we'll be now moving into gallery input. Does anyone from the gallery at this time wish to speak? Yeah. Cool. We'll go ahead and run the mic back to you guys.
Can we speak down there?
Ryer's not here.
Chance.
What?
Yeah, you can do it.
And it was just reading the budgetary affairs.
So we don't. So. Oh no, I looked into new business for that. So we're essentially just skipping over old business.
Except for that.
Yeah, and then what's the full name of that again?
5540 funding the CSU Lavender Cabinet.
Yeah, I don't think it's... Hey everybody, I'm Ant, co-chair for YDSA. You see me around here. I'll continue to speak until anything happens. First off, I just want to take the time to speak up about an incident that I witnessed a couple weeks ago involving the excessive policing of the dismount zones. Also, last week we had someone in here speak and give public comment about a detailed experience that they had watching extreme aggressiveness towards people who were not following orders. Sorry, I sprinted here to give public comment. They did not, let's see. they were extremely aggressive. The campus police were extremely aggressive towards a fellow student who did not hear their instructions clearly in the dismount zone. And this story in and of itself is infuriating. However, I'm here to share that this person was not the only person who was detained and harassed by CSU PD. In the broader sense, we know that police have historically harassed, brutalized, and killed black and brown people at a disproportionate rate to white people. But in the short term, in this context, 3 weeks ago, I witnessed firsthand someone who did not understand the instructions given to them clearly by the police be put in handcuffs and sat on the ground over a $35 fine. This incident and the one from last time have something in common. The students who were subjected to excessive force by the police did not understand the instructions given to them. And I will venture to say that this is straight up ableist, because if you punish students for not being able to properly process or to not completely understand, not fully hear the orders that you're given, and then you straight up detain them, you put them in handcuffs over a $35 fine, this disproportionately impacts the neurodivergent and disabled communities. Here and in other spaces, such as the career fair, where police swarm and remove students in the name of defending genocide profiteers, the police have demonstrated that they do not put the students first. If they did, they would not harass students in these dismount zones or racially profile my peers. This should not be surprising if you know what police in America represent, but it should invoke some form of action. It should merit action from this ASCSU body. And if you're someone who for some reason is lacking empathy today, which if you are, you probably shouldn't be representing the student masses, but from a purely just practical standpoint, the policing of the dismount zones is extremely flawed. First of all, it literally does nothing to stop the zones from being violated. I have watched people take the ticket, walk like 10 feet, and then hop back on their bike. Students are also not notified when police are in these dismount zones enforcing them, which gives no notice to the communities that I mentioned being disproportionately impacted by police presence on campus. It doesn't let them prepare for that, prepare for those interactions. And also, if I'm late to class, I'm not gonna wanna dismount in a dismount zone, but if I know that there's cops coming, I might take a little bit more time to prepare and get ready for my class. So just not letting students know is a problem. And then finally, if you get a student off their bike, there's literally no point in further finding them. You already got them off their bike in the dismount zone. Why are we making students who already pay thousands of dollars into this university pay like a petty $30? Senator or senators will be willing to, at the very least, pass and work with me to write legislation that we can get the CSU PD to at least announce their presence, as they do with every other action. Like any other time they're present on campus, they will let us know, for the most part. And I hope that maybe even further than that, we will have more in-depth conversations about the role of police in this community. And yeah, thank you very much.
Point of information, is there technical issues with the Zoom?
To my knowledge, persons online can hear. I've asked them, it just seems like it keeps popping up. I'll try to get that fixed, but we should be inaccessible.
Okay. If we do have an issue, I'm not gonna motion it right now. If we don't have an issue, I would motion for a recess for us to figure that out.
I think it's just the pop-up. If it's overly distracting, we can solve it, but it should
No, just so that we follow our accessibility rules.
It should be online, yeah. Sorry, you're okay.
Hello, my name is Ian, and I'm back again because I'm going to keep speaking about issues on campus until they are all resolved. I'd like to bring up a few issues that are happening on campus and nationwide. CSU has decided that supporting our trans community is not important. As an employee of the SAFE Center, every single time that we have tried to make community programming centered around trans identity, we have been absolutely shut down. The Lavender Closet is losing funding because CSU has decided that it is too scary to fund it. And in Kansas, our neighboring state, they have revoked people's licenses and passports for being trans. The Supreme Court just decided yesterday that it is okay for schools to out people to their parents for having trans identity. All of this is a sign of the times, and CSU needs to be a place for a refuge of trans students. The principles that we pretend to uphold. I urge that senators vote to pass the lavender closet funding, and I urge that ASCSU lobbies the state government to not follow in the footsteps of Kansas, as Missouri just introduced a bill to do the same thing. Another sign of the times is CSU's close ties with imperialism and colonial violence. Last week, students protested Woodward, Caterpillar, and HP at the career fair, hoping to kick them off of campus because, as we have mentioned, they are genocide profiteers. Woodward left the fair, but we still have students taking internships and jobs with them, and that is morally wrong. There needs to be a complete reassessment of what this school is. It is not a financial institution. It is not a mill to turn out cogs into the war machine. It is not a place of exclusion and isolation. CSU should be a place that upholds basic moral standards, promotes education over money, and encourages its students to work for change rather than submit to obedience. It's a shame that this is something that even has to be said. Please vote, advocate, and lobby on behalf of our trans students. Please do everything you can to clean our school of the blood of Palestinians. If you're not doing that, then what are you even here for? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Maya. I'm back. I wonder what color your guys' eyes are, because I can almost see y'all not paying attention. Just saying. I'm here to talk about the dismount zones and Senate Bill 287G and the militarization or the militant actions of the CSUPD. I want to discuss how this behavior is absolutely disgusting to get students to come off their bikes, just as my co-chair Ant had previously mentioned, that many people need to be informed of these things, that if you don't tell students that these things will be happening, there is a certain group of students that will be at a disadvantage, and that seems disgusting. Are the police not here to protect us? You would think. Though then again, some of us were raised with conversations about how to interact with police before we were raised with conversations about what colleges we wanted to go to. So this might hit home for some of you. For some of you, you're lucky because you've never had to have those conversations. And that's nice. But to those of us who know, this is not on accident. This is something that is disgusting and targets a certain group of students. It's something that we want our representatives to speak about, to acknowledge, and to see. With 287G and the opportunity for CSUPD to also work with ICE, this creates another disadvantage, or to work with DHS, my apologies. This creates another disadvantage in the sense that, sorry, someone was speaking, so I got a little distracted. In the sense that these police officers and that these local police know our neighborhoods, they know where we come from, they know the ins and outs, they know the people we are, they know many people of our community, and this is dangerous. Not only will we have to have conversations about how to interact with police, now we're having to understand how to interact with DHS, how to interact with CSUPD. Who's here to protect us? Who's here to advocate for us? Is it you guys? I stand by what Ant had said previously, and I would like to see that resolution come to life. Thank you very much.
Hello there, my name is Josiah, I'm a student here. I'm speaking today because of our cultural resource centers, especially the Lavender Closet, a part of the Pride Resource Center. These centers need more help. They are not abstract programs, they are lifelines. These CRCs are where students come to feel welcome and build community, where many come to find safety and dignity. As students, we have the responsibility to show up for these spaces, not just in words but in action. That means attending their events, advocating for their needs, and recognizing that their existence, which all directly impact the well-being of our fellow round. Legislation like Kansas Bill 244 reflects a growing wave of transphobia. When states target trans people, it sends a message that their lives are negotiable. Our campus must send the opposite message, that our trans students are valued, protected, and supported. My call to action is simple. Help promote student values and guide where our dollars go by supporting the CRCs and our fellow trans rounds. Thank you.
My name is Jasper. I know that there are many reasons that people such as myself are speaking at ASCSU tonight. I speak on the podium tonight so I can encourage the board to advocate for the rights of marginalized students, whether it's students who are trans-identifying like myself, students who are immigrants, and most importantly, students who fit both identities. As someone who has identified as transgender since I was 13 years old and has had my name legally changed to affirm my gender for around that same period of time, I have long recognized the importance of having the ability to wear gender-affirming garments and makeup, especially here on campus. I've had the privilege of always having a supporting family. Many transgender people on this campus do not. For many people who use the Lavender Cabinet at the Pride Resource Center, this is the first time they are able to freely express themselves and receive gender-affirming care. It's for this very reason that I find it extremely important to increase funding for the Lavender Cabinet, so that way transgender people on this campus, that are given the space to express themselves on campus can continue to have the resources to do so. And so the Pride Resource Center doesn't have to worry about if they can restock their items in the next month. Additionally, it is more important now than ever to fight for the gender-affirming care of transgender people when just recently in Kansas, according to AP News, about 1,700 driver's licenses held by transgender residents and roughly as many birth certificates have become invalid, all due to Senate Bill 244, which requires gender information on driver's licenses and identification cards to match sex assigned at birth. I'd imagine that you not only know how dangerous the immediate invalidation of legal documents is for transgender people as a whole, but also how especially dangerous this can be for transgender people who have medically transitioned and have to worry about how the law will treat them. Even though we do live in Colorado, which is a state that has been designated as a sanctuary state for our LGBTQ+ population, it's still worth understanding and discussing what is happening in Kansas, because we cannot let that happen in our state. The idea that what happens in other states cannot possibly affect us is a myth. Kansas is setting a precedent that transgender people are allowed to be persecuted by our governments, which will no doubt set a precedent for other states to pass bills just like it. And if ASCSU does not advocate for the importance of protecting transgender rights, then our transgender population here at this school is in danger. We cannot have a Lavender Cabinet with extended funding without protections for transgender people. These things must go hand in hand. In fact, on a federal level, we are seeing the effects of Section 287G, which means that the Department of Homeland Security can work with law enforcement, providing a financial incentive for police that know their communities to rat them out. That is not okay. We cannot let that happen with CSUPD on our campus. We know that it's possible to end law enforcement partnerships with the DHS because Maryland did it last month. If the Maryland governor can prevent law enforcement from creating new partnerships with ICE under 287G and making all establishing agreements done by July 2026, we can't, oh shoot, I lost my, hold on. We can make sure that this precedent does not happen with CSUPD. It's crucial to protect the rights of immigrants on this campus, especially when many of them rely on the resources of our cultural centers.
1 second, Senator Dodd.
Motion to give an additional minute, 2 minutes to the current speaker's time?
I think just 1 minute would be fine.
1 minute then.
Awesome. Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, you can continue.
Okay, sorry that this is taking so long. Thank you. In short, I am asking for ASCSU to uphold this campus's values and protect our marginalized students on campus. I want ASCSU to uphold the rights of transgender people and immigrants on this campus, and I want that promise to be upheld when both of these populations are under attack in the United States. And that is why I came up here to speak for the first time on this campus, and it's because I hold these things so dear to me. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Hello, I'm here today to talk about a myriad of campus issues that I believe ASCSU could do something to help. Firstly, I also want to raise awareness of Bill SB 244 in Kansas. This bill requires trans people to use the bathroom correlating with their birth assigned sex in government buildings, and more frighteningly, prohibits them from changing the gender marker on official documentation and has nullified any existing identification that has previously had the gender marker changed, with no grace period, leaving thousands of people with no official identification. Many people can no longer get to work or school because they no longer have a valid driver's license. And there are talks of Missouri following suit. And amid the national turmoil targeting trans people, the funding for the Lavender Cabinet is running out. As I'm sure many of you know, the Lavender Cabinet provides a lot of gender-affirming care like binders, trans tape, period products, books, makeup, and more. A CSU where trans students are denied resources in a pride center that's not even allowed to say the word transgender is not the CSU I signed up for a year and a half ago. This is why I implore you to pass the resolution extending funding for the Lavender Closet. It saddens me that this school has gained a reputation for only caring about money and protecting capital. And these are the values that it promotes to its students. That's why we had genocide profiteers signed to come to a career fair. That's why our student body president has an internship with a company that makes bomb parts sent to Gaza. And that's why ICE is allowed to recruit on our campus. Speaking of ICE, I want to talk about another bill recently passed through Congress. Bill 287G just passed, meaning that the Department of Homeland Security can go to police departments around the country and give them monetary incentives to cooperate with ICE. Even the so-called good cops we're always hearing about who try and learn about their communities can now be weaponized to betray those very communities. ASCSU should pass a resolution that would deny CSU PD funding if they work with DHS, that they no longer would have a monetary incentive to work with ICE. Thank you.
Hi y'all. Yeah, I'm back again too, and you're going to see us a lot more. My name is Sophia, and I am a co-chair for Students for Justice in Palestine, and I am the Development and Retention Chair for the Young Democratic Socialists of America. And I know a lot of our ASCSU senators have their complaints about students participating in the gallery, and I get it. It's a Wednesday, it's a long day, and who wants to be on campus past 8 p.m.? However, y'all are our representatives of the student body, and we, the students, will continue to come to gallery to express our grievances to you all our representatives about what's impacting us. Our testimony is not just for you, our senators, to hear, but for our executive board to hear and for our administration to hear. Hi, Parsons, if you're watching, and I hope you are. And I want to stress the importance that we, the students, participate in Gallery, because at Senate, the week before last, when my comrades and I condemned the career fair, the presence of 3 genocide profiteers at the career fair on our campus, Woodward dropped out of the career fair. I would like to acknowledge the work of SJP general members who protested the career fair last week, which caused HP and Caterpillar to pack up their table 30 minutes earlier than every other table. And yeah, like I said, Woodward didn't even come after our testimony. Students for Justice in Palestine's message is clear. Genocide profiteers are not welcome here. This message is one shared by our coalition members, the People United, the CSU Young Democrats, the Revolutionary Student Union, formerly known as SESL, and the Young Democratic Socialists of America. At the beginning of this semester, YDSA general members voted on what campaign we would like to take on as a socialist chapter that advocates for worker liberation, racial equity, and gender equity. The campaign we chose was one of anti-imperialism and anti-war. This year, 2026, started with the threat of war with Venezuela, and our government kidnapped the president of Venezuela. Now we are at the threat of war with Iran as US missiles fly, where 787 people were killed, including 165 schoolgirls and staff were killed by a US missile strike on an elementary school. These casualties are nothing new and are not something unique to the current presidential administration. When we look at the history of the US, more specifically the last 2 decades of the US and its military presence in the Middle East, has happened under Democratic presidents and Republicans alike. The issue is the system itself. The issue is of imperialism. The issue is of manufacturing war for profit. The issue is capitalism. All of what happens at the national and global level affects us. It might not feel like it now, but if we don't take a strong anti-war, anti-imperialism stance right now, we will be impacted by the corporations in our community that manufacture bomb pieces and navigation technology, because we will be on the ones of the front line fighting the rich man's war. The target of the YDSA's campaign is to target Woodward internships with our university. Working at Woodward in any capacity makes our students enablers of genocide of the Palestinians. A Woodward internship, YDSA, SJP, and with the support of our coalition members will advance the fight for Palestine by aiming to dissolve university ties with arms manufacturers and their internship program. That is the target of YDSA's campaign this semester, is to dissolve Woodward internship programs. And a Woodward internship program that I will note that our current ASCSU president will be participating in this summer. It is the cogs in the machine that makes machines run. SJP and YDSA vehemently condemns any partnership with Woodward, especially the institutional ties that genocide profiteers have with our school. The US war machine must be stopped, and that starts in our communities as we throw rocks into the gears of the imperial machine to slow its destruction of our siblings abroad and here at home. I would like to acknowledge the concerns of my peers in the gallery today about police presence here on campus, detaining students on campus. When we look at police killings, it's neurodivergent people who are disproportionately killed and negatively impacted. I want to voice support for the funding of the Lavender Cabinet as we're seeing the Pride Center be banned from talking about trans people or identity. And as the US itself, Senator.
Motion to give the current speaker an additional
1 or 2.
2 minutes.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, you can continue. As the US itself is in the early stages of genocide against trans people, with the revoking of IDs of trans people in Kansas, it would be reprehensible that we do not advocate for our trans siblings at all times, but especially this one. Woodward, the police presence, and these attacks on trans people are all connected by the same threat of fascism and the goal of protecting US Capitol.
Yeah, and I hope you get familiar with my face and the faces of people in this gallery because we will be back again and again until Woodward is gone, till the police on campus stop tackling students off their bikes in dismount zones, till undocumented students are absolutely protected on our campus, and until trans people are not only respected but treated as invaluable members of our student body because they are. Also, students in the College of Liberal Arts should not be graduating in a tent. That's absolutely disgusting. $40K in dollars and 4 years at a university means that students deserve dignity and respect for the money and years of hard work they have placed into this place of higher education. So yeah, Woodward, we're coming for you. Yeah, fuck Woodward, free Palestine, protect trans people, protect undocumented people. Yeah, see you guys next week.
Just a quick announcement for those in the gallery. Currently my friend Ben Greg, shout out, has a piece of paper to outline your contact information if you wish to collaborate. It additionally has my contact information, so my phone number as well as my email. Ultimately, the people in this room do have passion, knowledge, etc., but you also have passion, knowledge, influence, and power in this space to utilize. We have institutional knowledge to help collaborate and make that happen. So please, if you would like to put your information on that form, awesome. But with that, Baron, you can continue.
We have about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. Sorry, also point of information or clarification. I don't know if I'll be here when we're doing my report, but I'm planning on doing a resolution for the police activity here. So if you would like to, please put your information on there as well, I think, to be able to help with that.
Yeah, and I can go ahead and forward that to Jackson. Just mark down that you're interested in that specific problem.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, my bladder's calling and I didn't prepare a thing. So if this speech is terrible, man, I'm sorry. Like, we all have our days. But yeah, low-key, after last, I'll come with you as a student. I forgot to say that. Not speaking for my position. But yeah, after last Wednesday's session, it really had me thinking, and I was gonna make a really, really crazy speech here, but I actually decided against it. But I do have a couple of things I want to bring up. Especially in regards to all the stuff happening against transgender individuals across the United States, especially referencing the new Kansas thing where they're revoking their license. I think, like, as someone that prides themselves on advocacy, and I don't mean just standing in front of you saying I'm an advocate, I mean actually being out there and doing advocacy work that needs to be done. I'm talking about stuff that may disrupt things, like the administration building set in, or let's hit stuff where it matters, like let's hit it where donors are going to be there, stuff like that. I think that's the advocacy work that we need to be doing, and I think coming into ASUSU, a political space, was really hard for me because I think a lot of us really do say we're advocates, but at the end of the day, like, all we're doing is just sitting in Senate and, like, we're writing legislation, and yes, that gets things done, but at the end of the day, we can get so much more things done if we are organizing and mobilizing ourselves. I think we are victims of this kind of groupthink in Senate, that there is only one avenue to advocacy. I think I would really like to see, and this is like speaking from a student, like as a student, I would love to see my student government out there mobilizing and organizing. And I'm not talking about, like, say not all of us really agree with maybe some student groups, like that's fine. I'm not asking you to agree, but I'm asking to mobilize ourselves. Like, how powerful would it be? Imagine that if it was all of us doing a sit-in. What message would that send to the university? Because I think we don't realize the amount of leverage that we have with administration is more than just a regular student's voice. We need to be using that leverage to our advantage. So one thing I'm asking is, like, really please do get involved, because, like, we're seeing these things that are exactly identical to, and I'm not over exaggerating, I can send you the links, like all of what I'm saying, like we're seeing stuff happen that is literally identical to what was happening during the Holocaust. I think a lot of us have this kind of disconnect that we are not as close in proximity to the issue as we are, but we are. Let me remind you, Kansas is literally right next to us. I'm from Missouri. I'm from St. Louis. Like, I have family, I have friends that are trans. Like, I call my family, like, and to even like fathom that this is happening, like, we're literally stripping individuals of the right to be involved in society. That was literally Hitler's biggest thing, to push Jews out of society. What do you think is happening right now?
I would entertain a motion to suspend the aspect of the bylaws, Article 7, Section 4, Subsection C, Subsection A, from the 1st to 19th word. That's the 30-minute aspect. Chair Casada.
Suspend the bylaws of those numbers and everything.
What Brooke said. Do I hear a second? Thank you. Is there any dissent? Hearing none. Awesome.
I didn't know that was 5 minutes. It feels like I've only been out here 1 minute.
Point of clarification, it was the 30 minutes that we went over.
Okay, so 4 minutes. It's still up there. Okay, but anyways, I'll look, lost my train of thought. But yeah, like, we're really close in proximity to these issues. Like, in fact, I'd say we're right next to it. How many people in this room would consider themselves trans, like, of that identity? Like, look around. Your friends in this room are literally holding that identity. How different would it be if we just moved a state over? It's not a huge, like, we are not far away from this at all. And that could goes for such a range of issues. Like, we are so much close in proximity. So imagine how painful it is for me, who's actually out there doing actual advocacy work, to come into a space where we all say that we're advocates, but I never see us doing anything besides sitting in this space. It's kind of like a slap in the face. Like, I don't know. It's just hard for me, especially considering that some of these changes have directly affected me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm crazy in this space for the aggressive advocacy that I do. Like, when I bring that idea up, everyone acts like it's insane and that they can't even fathom it. I'm like, I'm sure if you went through the same experiences I went through, you'd be asking me why I'm not involved. So I really want you all to empathize with the people in this room, the people that come and ask you for help.
Officer Eddington?
Motion to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes.
Oh, you're sweet.
Julio, is there a second? Second. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, that'll be reflected.
And I think, like, this isn't me yelling at y'all. It's just saying, like, I want more from y'all. Like, as a student, I want you to do more for me as a student. And, like, it's okay if we haven't been doing enough. Realize that, and let's work towards doing more. I don't want you to sit here and go over, I feel like so bad about everyone that comes into gallery and is yelling at us. That is not the point. That's not the point. Like, we need to be doing stuff. We're hearing this. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes it's hard to hear. I acknowledge we messed up, and let's move on and let's do the work that needs to be done, because quite frankly, me and our other students need it. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I will be super quick, I promise. I just wanted to speak because a few weeks ago when SJP and YDSA came to speak about the career fair, there were some people who brought up, why is this being discussed in Senate? And something that I really want to make clear to all of the senators in this room right now is that gallery input, at least from my perspective, should really be the most important part of our Senate sessions. I mean, obviously we're passing legislation which is important and is a big part of the job, but ultimately our job is to be representatives. And like what Farron was saying as well, a lot of us in this room, you may be hearing, but you're not listening. And gallery should be the time that we are collecting our information for what our plan of action as representatives should be. Because these are the students who have issues that they care enough about to bring to us. And if they are bringing it to us, it matters. Regardless of if they're bringing it to us, these are student voices, and they should be the ones that we are listening to. So please, just, gallery is important, listen, don't just hear. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Does anyone else from the gallery at this time wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into campus community reports. Does anyone want to give a campus community report? Campus community report. Seconded. Cool, yeah, with that.
Can I, is it information or clarification for a question?
Information.
Okay, point of information, what is a campus community report?
A campus community report is something that was newly added to the agenda with a recent resolution written by Esteban Vega. It essentially is if an RSO or et cetera wants to give a report specifically geared towards like what their org is doing.
Chill, got it, thank you.
Awesome. Coolio, moving into our guest speaker. If our guest speaker wants to go ahead and come to the front.
Use microphone. Whatever works better for you. And when you want to make this like, just do it.
Okay, good evening. My name is Medora Hughesby. I'm an associate professor in microbiology, immunology, and pathology. I have a teaching focus here at CSU, but tonight I'm going to talk to you in my role as chair of the OER committee, which is run through the provost office. So I'll start with what is OER. OER stands for Open Educational Resources, and these are teaching, learning, and research materials. Now, they are under the banner of affordable materials, and CSU defines affordable course materials as anything that costs less than $20. Now, that's also a definition from the state. So from Colorado Department of Higher Education, if your course materials cost less than $20, they're considered affordable. Now, within those affordable course materials, we have free course materials. So sometimes when you go to your course, you get free materials, or you get your textbook for free, or the papers that you need for free. Sometimes those are because they're library licensed. So if you need to access a journal article or something like that for an assignment, it's not that it's necessarily free, it's that CSU has an agreement with that journal. And you get to use it as long as you're in the course or as long as you're at CSU, but then your access goes away. The other one is course reserve, so sometimes you can take a textbook from a traditional publisher, you can put it on course reserve, and students can access that textbook for free for the semester they are in that class, then the access goes away. I'm going to contrast that to open educational resources. These are materials that are freely accessible, and I'm going to emphasize free because they don't cost anything to the students, and they are accessible always. Students never lose that access to those materials. Now, OER is also free to use for students, but for the instructor, it's also free to adapt. And so it's materials that we can customize to our courses. So it doesn't have to be the pictures that you see in the textbook that might not represent your student population. We can change those because of the licensing of OER. And they're also free to share. And this share is important because it doesn't go away. You don't lose access after the semester is over. OER is also important because it's part of inclusive and open pedagogy. Inclusive pedagogy is the kind of the science behind teaching. When we want it to be inclusive, we want our students to belong. And when we want it to be open, we want our students to be part of that educational experience and co-creators of knowledge. And OER is all of that. Any questions on how I'm defining these things? So why use OER? Well, it is tracked nationally, and we know that when instructors use OER, it increases equity and accessibility for students. So when students can have access to their course materials on day one, they have far better outcomes than students that have to wait for financial aid or students that never get the textbook at all because it costs too much. Some national averages. So for a four-year institution, public institution like CSU, they think that the average that students pay for textbooks per year is $1,250. It's It's very close to what CSU tells their students to expect, which is $1,200 for textbooks and supplies. When you talk to the bookstore though, they tell you that they think that students are paying $419 a year on their textbooks. Right now is Open Education Week, and in the past when CSU has run open education events, we have put a board up and then we ask students, if you didn't pay for textbooks, what would you pay for instead? And then we put sticky notes out. It is heartbreaking because everybody says rent and groceries. There is nothing fun on that list, right? And so we know that students are struggling financially. We know that affordability is a real important thing, and using OER can really address one part of that. Now, the other thing that we want to push for OER is because it aligns so well with our land grant mission, right? So who deserves access to higher education? It shouldn't be behind a paywall, right? And so OER can start to chip away at that. So it is tracked, there's a state of Florida survey, which is not run by Florida, but this is how we track OER right now. And when we track the numbers, we see that 53.5% of undergraduates report not purchasing a required textbook due to cost. And there's severe academic penalties for students when they don't have the required course materials when they need them. And so of this, 43.7% will take fewer classes, almost 40% will avoid a specific course, 32.4% will earn poorer grades, and a quarter of those students will drop a course entirely. And so if we're worried about retention, if we're worried about belonging, that not giving student access to materials or putting them behind a pricey paywall is not going to help us out. And so it's another reason why people switch to OER. Now, OER in Colorado, so the state of Colorado has deemed OER pretty important, and there is a council through Colorado Department of Higher Education. And I'm a current member on this council, and we've had CSU representation before. Meg Brown-Sika is through the library. And what we do on the council is we award funding. So there's $1 million through the state that the state has said OER is important. And then the members of the council, we look at ways that we can award these funds to different institutions so that their instructors, their faculty, can use OER to benefit for their students. So the original bill, SB 21-215, has estimated to save students over $50 million. And I think if I updated this number, it'd be closer to $60 million right now. When we do the math, the ROI, the return on investment, $16 saved for every dollar spent from the state. Can you think of anything else that has an ROI like that? I certainly cannot. So this grant program is really great. It is saving students lots of money across Colorado. The problem is CSU isn't eligible for a lot of these grants. And the reason why we're ineligible for these grants, it wasn't always the case. We used to get them and apply for them. But right now, CSU has switched to Day One Access. You familiar with this? You probably see it on Canvas. So Day One Access is considered an inclusive access model where students get opted in to paying for textbooks. And the state thinks that that's close to, the state doesn't consider that an open practice. And so institutions that use this model, like CU and CSU, are ineligible for the larger grants through CDHE. We are trying to pass another bill through legislation to continue the OER grant program. And right now it has bipartisan support. It's called HB 26-1016. I do have a link to that in my presentation if you're interested in looking at it more. On January 29th, it passed a committee vote 11-2, again, bipartisan support. Whenever people are grumpy, you can talk about OER because it is always the silver lining. It always makes people happy. Next steps for this bill will be the House Appropriations Committee, then the Senate Education, and Senate Appropriations. So we've got some ways to go. Budgets are tough right now, so I'm not sure that we'll get the full funding, but right now there is bipartisan support for this. Okay, let's talk about OER at CSU. So I'm here as the role of chair of the Provost Committee on OER, which was started in 2022 with the charge to provide strategic direction, increase the use of OER materials on the CSU campus, and codify administrative support in these efforts. And we've been working on that, right? So with this committee, it is volunteers, faculty, and staff. So that's kind of what we have right now. We don't have a dedicated person in the library, which other institutions do have, an OER specialist. And really, the people that are passionate about this, the people that are really wanting to push this, they're just individual faculty and staff because they see the benefits to their students. So it's kind of a volunteer mindset at this point at CSU. CSU was eligible for state funding, so from 2018 to 2021, they were able to get 65 to 70K per year, and that had an impact. And so you can see the number of instructors, the number of courses that were impacted by converting these class materials to OER. And in that time period, we think that students saved over $3.9 million. I think this is a wildly low estimate. I think it's way more, but like I said, we don't have anybody who can track those numbers and really look at it for us, so I don't know what the actual savings are to CSU students. In 2023 and 2022, the Provost Office did support funding specific classes to convert to OER, and they gave us support for $32,000 per year. That support stopped, but it has started again. We did get funding to start converting, to support instructors to convert to OER. So OER at CSU, the bookstore does list courses that have OER, so if students are curious if their courses use OER, you can go to the bookstore and you can find out this information. However, not all instructors report accurately that they're using OER, so this is probably an undercount, so we don't really have a way of tracking who is actually using OER for their students at CSU. Some challenges, and I've said some of these, but we're going to go through them again. There's limited state funding available, and this is due to the Inclusive Access Program, the Day One Access. There's limited awareness. So before you were here tonight, did you know what OER was? Anybody use OpenStax? Okay, so if you use the OpenStax textbook, that's OER. But did your instructor tell you that? They might not, because they might not realize what it is either. There's really a lack of awareness on the faculty part, on the student part, on the administrator part. It has been a volunteer mindset. Once people know about OER, it's hard to not know the benefits and how good it can be for your students. So it's like little flares throughout the departments, but it's just individual efforts, and we'd really like it to be a more sustained effort. And then we'd also like more administrative support. We would like top-down encouragement for OER. So we'd like OER to be a default offering. If you're going to change your course materials, would you please look at OER before you look at a commercial publisher? If you're going to revamp something or you're going to teach a brand new course, why not consider OER? You don't have to use it if you don't like it, but why not look at it? Again, we don't have a way to track it right now. We know from national studies that students do better with OER, and especially if they hold non-traditional identities. So if students are Pell Grant eligible, or they are first generation, or they are minoritized, the more of these identities they hold, the better off they are when their instructor uses OER. It's important for retention in degrees and programs, course completion. We know that people that use OER tend to have lower drop-fail withdrawal rates than people that don't, and kind of makes sense, right? If you have access to your textbook on day one because it doesn't cost money and you don't have to wait for your financial aid, you can hit the ground running with your coursework. If you have to wait 2 to 3 weeks, it's really hard to recover from that. We'd love to track learning and engagement metrics, grades, student perceptions, and again, cost savings. 3.9 million, it's so low, it's not right. So we need to track it, but we don't have a mechanism for that right now. So our recommendations. As a committee, we did get funding to target specific classes to convert to OER, and we invited several departments to apply for this funding opportunity through the Provost Office. We targeted departments with classes that had high drop-fail withdrawal rates, had large enrollment classes, or had textbooks that were expensive. Invited them to apply, and of these two, we have History 101 and Chemistry 120, which are planning to convert to OER. History 101 will save estimated $250,000 in 3 years of money not spent on books, and chemistry 120, closer to $25,000 over 3 years. With this project, we'd like to track student success and plan for future courses to enroll, again targeting courses that have higher numbers, higher drop-fail withdrawal rates, or costly textbooks. And this could all be tracked with an OER specialist position, which is one of our recommendations. And we'd further like institutional support, where OER could be a default option. It doesn't have to be what anybody picks. If they find the perfect textbook and it costs $250 a semester, but it's going to be the best way their students learn, that's fine. Just maybe consider OER. There's a lot of high-quality OER out there that faculty could start to engage with. And we'd also like to partner with TILT, because open pedagogy is becoming a best teaching practice, and we would like to raise awareness around that as well. With that, if there's time, I can answer questions, and if not, please reach out with any of your questions. I'm always happy to talk about student success and OER.
Yeah, my first question is OER fully dependent on the university itself, or does the professor have any say in the specific needs for their own class?
So it's dependent. Sometimes the department has already set up, they know the materials that they want to use, and then the faculty member doesn't have much say. Sometimes if you're co-teaching a section of a course, then you have to coordinate with the other person and you might not say. Most of the times you do have say over what materials you want. It's considered academic freedom for faculty to choose what they want to use to teach.
Cool. And my last question is, how does a professor, or what's the process like for a professor to be able to get OER support for their course materials?
Yeah, good question. We don't have it, right? So normally people could go to the library. They have an OER specialist or an OER librarian in some institutions, and this person would specialize in helping you find OER and making sure it's accessible for your students and the best fit, right? Because just knowing where to look. There's lots of repositories that house OER, but knowing where to look can be daunting.
Cool, thank you, I yield.
Are there any other questions for our guest speaker?
Yes.
Awesome.
Can you just explain briefly why CSU chooses to use Day One Access or inclusive programs over OER? Because it kind of seems like a bad deal.
So it's supposed to help students, right? So the Day One Access is supposed to be an agreement that students can have access to their textbook materials right away on day one. You don't have to go to the bookstore to pick it up. You just your instructor opts you in, and gosh, the class that I did where I got tricked into using it, and then I had to whatever, it was a mess. But I had to get the bookstore to unenroll all my students. And that was a big class, it was 180. But the idea is that it's easy for students. So your instructor opts you in, you pay $40, and you don't have to think about it. But I think $40 is a lot of money for people, and they prefer not to spend that, or to prefer to find it a different way if they really, really could. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you for your attention.
Awesome, with that, we'll now be moving into executive reports. Our friends from Executive 1 to join us in the front.
Hey everyone, those of you who don't know me, I'm Lily Coughlin. I'm the Assistant Director of Campus Engagement. So I work in our Programming and Traditions Department. And I have lots of very, very fun announcements that I'm going to make. First off, tomorrow, I've been helping with events coming for the election cycle, so we have lots of fun events coming up, and I'm going to plug them and how you guys can kind of help us out and get involved in them. So tomorrow, literally tomorrow morning, so soon, we're having pancakes for the polls, and we are giving out pancakes to the first 100 students, like free pancakes, with the intent of trying to get people to the debate in the evening, or be out in the plaza trying to like usher people to the ballrooms, because that's the only place they put the pancakes, and kind of using that as a way to have conversations with students. So if you guys have any friends that are maybe like, oh, like student government's so boring, or when you bring up what you do in student government, they're like, I don't care, where's the free stuff? Here it is. So tell your friends about it tomorrow morning, free breakfast, we'll have coffee, we'll be out in the plaza, we're gonna be tabling. And then on Tuesday, very, very, very exciting, the event that's been taking up all of my time, is the big Saddle Up and Vote event. Wow, I brought the poster and everything. Thank you, Noah, I appreciate that. Yes, it's going to be huge. It's going to be so fun. Basically, we're putting a mechanical bull on the plaza on Tuesday during the day, and just basically going to scream at people to vote while they're like, what's going on over there? With the intention of reaching the student body who usually does not pay attention to ASCSU. The question is always like, how do we get people to care? How do we get people to pay attention? How do we get people to even know that we exist and then have these resources? Because the first kind of step in just knowing that we're a resource at all is knowing that we exist. And so reaching those students who don't usually interact with us, who maybe aren't willing to go to an event after class because they're busy and they have jobs, meeting them where they are at and kind of getting in their face a little bit is my solution to this problem. So there's gonna be a mechanical bull in the plaza, it's free to ride. Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends who don't care about student government about it. It'll be so fun. It's gonna be running from 10 to 1, but we're gonna be out there giving out stuff all day. We have giveaways. I reached out to a bunch of local businesses and they are giving us a lot of stuff to give away for students just to vote. So very exciting, engaging the campus like my job description is. I have a bunch of these posters. So if you would like to take any of these, I'm going to leave some on the front desk with a little sticky note. If you'd like to bring them to your constituents where you are, whether that's you're a CRC senator or maybe for college, please ask the people, be in compliance with the rules of putting up posters in your spaces. But I would love to kind of just invite the greater body to it. So I'm going to put a stack of these over there because we have so many, and please feel free to take a few to put up in your spaces, please, so we can just get as many students there as possible. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then that's one way that you can help us at this event. And the second way is we would love your help to be there, to work the events, to not work, honestly, it's kind of like an overstatement. We just need people there to help, some extra hands, whether that's standing in the plaza giving out coffee, or helping hand out pancakes, or being at the bowl, or helping us get students to sign waiver for the bowl. There's so many different things that we need help with, we need volunteers for to help run these events. It's gonna be fun, it's not serious, it's gonna be very chill. And I have this QR code for the sign up. There's just a few gaps tomorrow specifically between 10 and 11 and noon. 8 and 11, whoa. Between 8 and 11 we need people in the plaza. We're just handing out coffee to students. We always talk about we need to meet students where we are, how do we get students to pay attention? How do we get students to know about us? This is your opportunity to do something about it. And so if you're one of those people who's ASCSU needs to meet people where they are, this is an opportunity to give out free coffee to students and say, wow, we have elections going on too. This is really cool. So if you are one of those people who's constantly saying that ASCSU doesn't do enough to reach out to students where they are, please, please, please sign up. I'm actually going to pass these around. Let's pass them around. Here we go. Oh, we can pass one. It's a QR code to sign up. Even if it's just an hour, you got a gap between your classes, you got, I know you have gaps between your classes. I know that Tuesday, Thursday is a little weird. Oh, sorry, wait, this way. No, actually, I'm taking this back.
Thank you.
Because you're already signed up. You can pass that one back.
We can also put the QR on the Teams and all that.
It is already in there, trust. For the people who don't check the Teams, I'm putting it right in front of you now. Okay?
For the people that don't check the Teams, start checking the Teams.
You should check your Teams, but also it kind of gets lost. There's a lot of stuff in there. So I just thought I'd put it in front of you right here. So please, there's just gaps. There's just little gaps here and there. We maybe need you for an hour to hand out coffee. Okay, it's really chill. Meet your constituents, not just your constituents, the whole student body. And that's it for me.
I have a point of information
for
yes. Speaker Reese. May I be exempt from legislative cabinet to volunteer?
You may not be exempt, but you can ask your vice chair to attend in your absence.
Okay.
I also will add, let me add to be, as a point of clarification also, that you are tabling general elections. This is not for single candidates. This is for just getting students to vote and show up in general. We know how many people voted last year and how disappointing it was. And so if you've complained about it, please show up, help out, be part of the change that makes a difference in that. Yeah, so this is for general voting. Don't care who you vote for, go. We have the debate, you should go to that so you can make an informed decision for yourself. So make sure that you're within guidelines and regulations when you're doing that. That's it.
Point of clarification, in the interest of maybe, this is me providing information.
Okay.
In the interest of maybe playful rivalry between the branches, the other branches are contributing a lot. We are not seeing a lot of legislative people participating right now, so it would be really good for us, maybe the biggest body at ASCSU, to put our best foot forward here.
Well, I'm gonna put them right next to where you put your little thing, so then you're gonna
When
walk by
we're
and you're gonna have to see them.
speaking, we have to be utilizing the mics, and also that'd be more of a your report kind of thing in the future. But with that, would anyone be interested on being speaker person 4 for a second? Jack Pendleton, if you want to. Actually, Farron just entered the ring. Yes.
No.
If the next executive member wants to go ahead and give their report.
Just vote. Just vote. Okay. Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Bella Simpson. I serve as the Chief of Staff for Executive Cabinet. I have one thing to share today, and that pertains to State of the Association. If you guys don't know, it's similar to the State of the Union. If you watched it this year. So basically, this event is typically to inform our administration, and most importantly, our student body of all the work that you guys are doing, whether that's in executive, legislative, or judicial. And I know throughout history, the State of the Union and similar speeches have been heavy on policy and or accomplishments, which is great. And it's the overall point of the event. But you rarely have seen it being like non-biased, and I don't want that to happen at the State of the Association this year. I'm not saying that it's happened in past events, but not only do I want this event to be informative about what ASCSU does and the accomplishments that you guys have all done this year, or this academic year, but I also want it to be a time where faculty and staff, and again, most importantly, our student body, to interact with one another and have meaningful conversations just like we have in this space every week. So with that being said, the State of the Association will be held on Friday, April 3rd from 6 to 7:30. 7:30 in Never Know Summer, and if you have any questions or concerns, my office is always open, and I really do encourage you guys to come and talk to me about it. I am in 206B. All of my contact information is on my door, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Hi squad, I actually typed all of this out in the Teams because I thought I wasn't going to be here, and guess what, I'm here. So first of all, for LSAB updates, last week we voted to support the CSU District Energy proposal. If you have questions on what that is, I'm more than happy to send you that slideshow. We also voted to support HB 26-1001 to increase housing development. Shout out Jared, he's been really attentive on this matter, so really shows how much work goes into this and how much your voice is really powerful. Andrew created an LSAB website, which is super cool, and so if you ever have friends who are really interested in learning more about ASCSU, don't have the time commitment, maybe LSAB's going to be something for them, you can learn about the meetings there, and as I said, they're open doors, so you can come anytime, 6 to 7 on Thursdays, except not this Thursday, because we're sending everyone to the debate, which is super cool. Lobbyist updates, whoa. They're back. So we're meeting Friday, and I'll go ahead and keep y'all posted on any work that goes into that. And then second to last, day at the Capitol. I keep saying it's March 31st. Put it in your calendar. We're going to be rolling out some marketing and things of the sort soon. Joseph's been working really hard on that, so shout out there. And then we're also going to be tabling at the Ramplify Civic Engagement Fair on Monday. I believe that's from 9 to 12. So please sign up to volunteer. It's a great engagement community. There will actually be 2 ASCSU tables. One specifically for elections and voting information, and then the other one is a general ASCSU table. So if you're looking for more attendance at your caucus, maybe looking to grow your delegation, those are really great ways to come. Me personally, I'm going to be advertising LSAB and do a first round advertisement for Day at the Capitol. And then finally, for community events, the District 5 Council member Amy Hoban will be holding a listening session Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Fort Collins Senior Center. So if you live in District 5, I highly recommend you attend. And all of what I just read is like word for word from the team's announcement. So if you have any questions, go there, but also feel free to ask me.
Hello, Sharks. I'm seeking your investment, 1 hour of your time for 100% stake in my gratitude and appreciation, and also a fulfillment of your office hours. There's a few different tabling opportunities coming up. We have one on March 9th, which is the Health Network Spring Break Safety Fair. So ASCSU is signed up to hand out Narcan. All of it is available, and like everything that you need to help table will be totally available. Just like your body and your soul need to be there. And I'm really just looking for people from the 11 to 12 o'clock slot, because that's where we're missing people. I really want to say thank you to the people who did sign up. We had 2 people from legislative branch sign up already, and like genuinely, I really do appreciate it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I volunteer.
Oh my god, thank you, Diana. Okay, we had 3 people from legislative branch sign up, so that is awesome. And that one is linked in the Teams. I don't have QR code for you today, but if you want me to send it to you individually, I'm happy to do that as well. The other one is, and it's the first QR code. Like just the indication. No. That one. Jill's gonna put it on the code. That one, on the QR code on the screen, that one is for rain band harm reduction. So I mentioned this very briefly last week, but we do have all of the materials, and the first one will be next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow. And this is an opportunity for you to connect with CSU students as well as like general like Fort Collins people, and hand out drink spike test strips and cup covers, as well as a few other resources to help prevent drink spiking in Old Town, because we know that's a really big issue, and it's just a way to help curb that. I will say, for those of you who are signing up, I'm requesting both your phone number and your email, just because I want to send you like a little bit of a longer instruction list, not to scare you, because like I totally appreciate everyone has helped, and it is really fun, like it's a good time, but I want to make sure that we're being like trauma informed when we're handing those out, and that we're actually understanding the reason and the purpose for this, rather than just you're at Rain Band and you're handing things out, you know, because there's a bit of both to it. But anyone's welcome to sign up this one. There's going to be 3 opportunities for this once a month. So if you miss it next Thursday, that's totally fine. You can come again, and it's from 9 to 10 p.m. So it's a bit later, but it's a good time. And then those are the 2 tabling opportunities. So that's the only thing where you need to put like really a lot of effort into. The other one that is going to be put up on the screen is the Basic Needs Summit. So that is coming back April 20th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at CSU Spur campus. And there are going to be 2 QR codes. I would love it if you guys came, if you signed up. You don't have to come for the whole time, but if you did want to come for the whole time, transportation and lunch is provided. The one on the left, this one right here, is presenting a workshop. So if you love to talk, if you want to teach other students and other faculty from different schools and from CSU about a particular basic needs interest that you have, this is a really great opportunity. You can put it on your resume, you can make a fun Canva presentation. Last year I did one on housing and housing affordability in Fort Collins, and I was able to partner with Boulder, and they got to talk about their emergency housing program, and it was a really cool way to mesh the 2 ideas and the 2 things that we have. And since then, we've been able to implement our own emergency housing kind of as a result. So it's a really cool way to get involved, especially if you're interested in basic needs. And even if you don't think you are, and this is the one here, is the general RSVP, so if you just want to attend, you don't want to like speak, also a great opportunity. But there's something for everyone. If you're in the College of Business, financial planning. If you're in College of Ag, food, housing, environmental people, all of my health people, like my biomedical sciences, a lot of health stuff. So there's genuinely something for everyone, and if there's not something that you think is basic needs related, but you have still an interest, we can find a way. We'll make it happen. I really want just everyone to come to be involved. So I will be sending this out in the Teams as well. All of the QR codes are going in the Teams, but I'll be sending out this one. And the RSVP is open all the way up until April 17th, which is the Friday beforehand. So feel free to RSVP all the way out. I just wanted to start getting things early. But that's all I have. Thank you so much.
What's up, team? My name is Joseph Godshaw, Service Vice President. I wanted to give a quick update on the Student Fee Review Board, as is my purview. I'm sorry that I missed last week. I was unfortunately unable to be here. But as of right now, we have voted on 4 areas in finality, meaning that we have moved them through our board processes. It's going to be the Student Legal Services, the Career Center, Off-Campus Life, and the Adult Learners and Veteran Services. So those are done, and we will be making our recommendation for their budgets for next year already. So those are closed. We heard a presentation from Slice and Basic Needs. I'm still in the process, I'm not sure if I've actually explained this here, but we are hoping to remove their conjoinment as one area to separate them into two different fee-funded areas, because our board this year has seen it as a priority that Basic Needs is able to actualize their own needs rather than having to go through the Slice office first. This decision is supported by our board, by the directors of both areas, and by the Office of Student Affairs. Unfortunately, due to some slight clerical miscommunications, I think, we need to hear a second presentation from them to better articulate exactly what that split is going to look like. So that's going to happen on March 30th. They're going to come back, which is really awesome. I'm really glad that we can do that for them. But we tabled that, and then we heard our most recent presentations from CDSA and the SAFE Center on Monday. We passed both of those votes of legitimacy, and we'll be voting on them in finality next Monday, where we will be hearing from two new areas. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. Please get involved if you need it all. These are your student fees. These should be your voice. We have a great board. Everybody's welcome. I just do ask that you do give me a heads up if you're coming, so I can make sure we have some space. And yeah, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Exactly that. We'll now be moving into judicial reports.
Hi everyone. I know there's been a lot of elections reminders, and I am excited and a little anxious to announce that this is the last time I will be giving this report or announcement before the elections result. So this time next week, voting will have closed. And at the end of the Senate agenda is going to be the result announcement. And so this is our final push. This week is kind of where it all comes together for everything. So obviously a really big week. If Lily's persuasion was not adequate for you, I'm going to beg you again. We really need your help tabling. I know that election night last year there was a lot of blame thrown around in regards to turnout, and we are trying to change that, and there's no blame involved, but we would love people to engage. So if you did not sign up and you are able to sign up, please do. That QR code is floating around, and we just want everyone to be playing a role in it. We have a lot of engagement this year, and we want to play into that as much as we can. So as a caveat to that, even if you are on a campaign team and are helping a campaign team run, you are welcome to come table with us as long as you are not operating in that capacity. We, as my team, are operating with the intention of people voting, period, not specifically who they're voting for. And if that's something you're interested in engaging with, I would really love to have you help us. We have that pancake event tomorrow morning at 8. I do want to clarify that our priority is getting people that don't know about this election in the room, right? And so our priority is less so on getting you all free pancakes, but I would love to get you pancakes. So if you're gonna come, you have to bring a friend, because our priority is getting people that wouldn't otherwise know about this election into our space so that we can invite them to participate in this process with us. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. is our candidate debate. It's going to be in Ballroom A, which is the one closest to the hallway. We have 3 separate debates this year, so we've separated vice president and president, which I think will be a really exciting change that I haven't seen in the past. So that'll be really fun to work with. Okay.
It's here!
Oh, it's the gallery. I'm so sorry. So that's in Ballroom A. I would super appreciate if you could come. You can make it a social event, bring your friends. I don't really care. Just get in the room. It's also going to be online on the CTV 11 channel, and a lot of work has gone in on their part as well. We're doing it entirely different in regards to the live stream as well this year. And then to reiterate Lily, Tuesday is our rodeo event. The bull will be out from 10 to 1. We will be out the entire day, so come stop by. And also, as a reminder, we are trying to get external people, and so if we have a really long line and you are internal to the body, and I know you are going to vote, we're going to try to get some other people involved through that process. Peace and love, but I will try to get you on the bull if I can. And then, as a final reminder, because I will not get to beg you to vote before this time next week, you operating in this body are expected to vote. point blank period. This is a representative body and you are elected by the students, and so you as a student are expected to vote for this next generation of representatives. And in addition to that, you are also expected to tell your friends to vote. This is a process that literally defines this entire body, and so we all stand to benefit from students engaging. So voting is on RealMweb. Tell your friends, Monday through Wednesday. You all should be voting, and I will literally cry if I find out any of you in this room did not vote, because I have put in so much work to this process. So that is my last report before the election. Good job to everyone that's involved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it.
Hey everyone. Hopefully, Hi everyone. Hopefully you all can see on the screen behind me, but I will be reading off the opinion that we just rendered this past week, in case you have not been up to date on the news. So, and I'm Caitlin, I serve as the Deputy Chief Justice, if you have not met me. This is our Opinion 5503, clarification on ex officio status and the rights of Senators Emeriti. Senator for Adult Learner and Veteran Services, Noah Eddington, requested an opinion to clarify the roles and rights of Senators Emeriti. The following questions were submitted for clarification. 1. How long is one granted ex officio status when appointed as a representative for the 54th Senate Bylaws, Article 4, Section 3, Subsection B, Subsection C? 2. Does a Senator Emeritus have ex officio status? 3. Without ex officio status, would a Senator Emeritus have rights to make motions? And 4, are speaking rights distinct from the right to motion? So, the ASCSU Supreme Court has determined the following. For question 1, in a vote of 7 to 0, the court has determined that under the 54th Senate Bylaws, Article 4, Section 3, Subsection B, Subsection C, one is granted ex officio status for the duration of their tenure in the position enumerated in the section. Under that section, individuals in the following position are granted ex officio status: the president or a chosen representative of the college councils, the Multi-Faith and Belief Student Council, the Inclusive Excellence Council, and any student organization granted a seat in the Senate. No duration is specified. However, this implies that as soon as an individual in these positions relinquishes their tenure, they no longer hold ex officio status. For question 2, in a vote of 5 to 2, with the 2 being abstentions, the court has determined that a Senator Emeritus does not automatically have ex officio status. Article 4, Section 3, Subsection B enumerates all of the positions granted ex officio status, and Senator Emeritus is not included under that subsection. For question 3, in a vote of 7 to 0, the court has determined that without ex officio status, a Senator Emeritus does not have motioning rights. Article 4, Section 4, Subsection A states that Senators Emeriti can come back with speaking rights at any time. Senators Emeriti are not given motioning rights under the section that enumerates their rights. And for question 4, in a vote of 7 to 0, the court has determined that speaking rights are distinct from the right to motion. Article 4, Section 4, Subsection A states that Senators Emeriti can come back with speaking rights at any time. However, Article 4, Section 3, Subsection A states that those with ex officio status shall be granted rights of debate and motioning, but shall hold no voting rights. The difference between the two sections indicates that there was an intentional exclusion of rights of motioning from the rights of Senators Emeriti. Are there any questions? Awesome. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Melanie Brusso. I serve as the Chief Justice for this year. If you don't know, the judicial branch administers all of elections. So I oversee our elections manager, Emily, and I oversee all of the violations, all the committee meetings, and all of that. And so there's very few people who kind of know the behind the scene process of elections, specifically like committee decisions and violations. So I wanted to be very transparent about where this org is at with elections. After I give this, there will be an email to anyone on a campaign list. So if you get that email, don't worry about it. It's exactly what I'm saying here today. But yeah, so this year we are seeing an unusually high number of reported violations, far more than in previous years. And while accountability is an essential part of any election process, I am concerned about the spirit in which some of these violations are being submitted. The purpose of the Elections Code, the Elections Committee, and the violation process within ASCSU is to ensure that our elections are fair, transparent, and equitable. They exist to protect the integrity of the process, not to be used to strategically, not to overwhelm opponents, and not to retaliate. At this time, the elections team is dedicating a significant portion of its time to processing the current influx of violation. Each submission requires hours of scheduling, reviewing evidence, coordinating meetings, deliberating, and documenting decisions. This is not a quick or automated process. It is intentionally detailed and labor-intensive because fairness requires care. I have complete confidence in all of our candidates. I know that every person running cares deeply about ASCSU and about Colorado State. I also know that everyone involved, candidates, committee members, and the elections team, is exhausted. People are missing classes, they're falling behind on coursework, they are trying to figure out how to keep their grades up while fulfilling these responsibilities. Time that could be spent connecting with students and encouraging voter participation is instead being spent in the LSC navigating hearings and documentation. Imagine if all the energy currently being spent by the elections team, the committee, and campaigns on processing violations were redirected towards getting students to vote. Imagine if that effort went towards engaging our campus community, building excitement, and strengthening student voice. Elections are not just a competition, they are a reflection of our values as leaders. When you are exhausted, things aren't going your way, or you're under pressure, how you treat others is a true test of your character. The elections committee is made up of volunteers. They are students doing their best to interpret, apply a code like any system is not perfect. My elections manager, Emily, puts in triple the number of hours than what is required, but if you asked her, she would tell you everything's fine, she's doing great, which she is doing great, but that is not her job. Everyone involved is trying to do their job with integrity and care. They are not perfect, the code is not perfect, none of us are. But every single person in this election deserves to be treated with respect. I know that everyone involved is a good person who cares about ASCSU and cares about CSU, and that shared commitment should guide how we move forward. The violation process is a safeguard, not a weapon. It shouldn't be used when necessary. It should be used when necessary to protect fairness, not to gain leverage. I'm asking all of us to lead with integrity, to act in good faith, and to remember that long after this election ends, we are still all part of the same community. Let's ensure that the way we conduct ourselves reflect the kind of leaders we aspire to be. Thank you.
Awesome. With that, we'll now be moving into legislative reports, starting with officer reports, starting with me. Essentially, onboarding is still happening. Look at your emails. Additionally, Gio and I just discussed establishing a process for having a live agenda published on the Teams each week so you can follow along with the edits that are made in real time. But yeah, coolio. Gio, do you have anything?
P is for the barley, U pro. Hello, everyone. So, I'm proud to say we have 3 responses to the parliamentarian suggestion box, which I will work on addressing, which mainly include things like the title, as well as the largeness of the text available on screen. Additionally, I've identified a few people I think would make wondrous parliamentarians in this upcoming session, and actually to take a little bit of a straw poll, to clarify a little bit, the parliamentarian is elected by you as the Senate at the end of the year. So obviously anyone who's trained still needs to be passed by your eye, but still to have a good solid pool of candidates. I'm thinking of perhaps submitting a form to put on Teams for people interested in the position. So that way, when the time comes for you all to select, they have the necessary training, the know-how to really come into this role strong. I'm also just working on the transition report, and thank you for your time.
Point of information, does Jack give the speaker pro tem report now?
Not quite.
Oh, thank you.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Just a couple of things to report. Since I joined Organizational Wellness, we've been planning some events, and I'm super excited to announce Isaac's event, ASCSU Lock-In, happening in April, as well as and ASCSU Arts and Crafts Nights that I'm taking over planning on. The current activity lineup that I have is clay magnet making, slime making / sensory stress ball making, and origami. So if there's any suggestions of arts and crafts that I didn't say that you would like to have at Arts and Crafts Night, please let me know. And I also just want to say, I know we're all really busy, we can't always come to org wellness events, but something I would like to see is us really embrace each other as a community, especially in these times. Farron was saying during her gallery that it's important for us to organize. I think it's equally important for us to be in community with each other. We all sit here every Wednesday night, but I'm ashamed to say, like, I don't know a lot about a lot of you in this room, and I think org wellness events are a wonderful way to change that. So if you can attend, please attend. And then on public relations side of things, this Monday, I was able to attend the College of Ag's, I think, executive committee and show them that ASCSU executive presentation or interactive presentation. I feel like I've been talking about it a lot and I have not sent it out in the agenda. That is 100% my bad. You will see it next week just so that you all can see what I'm actually talking about. But the idea with that is that that's something that we can push out to student leaders. Ryer was able to present it to a class today, I think. Told me it went really well. So hopefully we can see more widespread class presentations and maybe even trainings to enable you guys and to enable college council leaders to be giving this information to their students. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Recruitment is going super well. Retention less so. I'm just kidding. But recruitment is really going really well. I've had a bunch of meetings. I think really some of you guys have felt really empowered to recruit your friends and give them my email, which is ascsu_senate_membership@mail.colostate.edu. And people have been reaching out to me with interest for joining, some of them in the gallery tonight even, and that's very exciting for me. Thank you all for helping me thrive. Please continue to do that. I will link this now to voting. The more students know about ASCSU and the work we do, and the voter turnout is a huge way we can engage with them on that, the more we fill this space and the more people want to participate and do their CSU civic duty, if you will. So please participate in these coming events that we've heard from Lily and we've heard from Emily are coming up over this next week. They're really good opportunities to get involved, be in front of people and kind of talk about our mission, how we contribute to campus, and how they could contribute to campus should they join. And I think that's it. Oh, I saw the grad school council this week. Guys, they have catered meetings, so just saying, go to grad school council. Are we all allowed to go there? Maybe. That's all.
Awesome. With that, we'll now be moving into committee and caucus reports by First Year's Placard. Chairman Monty.
Hello. Community Action Caucus has not met, but I have updated all of our social media, whatnot. I need to send an email to front desk to update our name on the webpage. But otherwise than that, we are updated to Community Action Caucus, and there is still that when to meet. I have only 5 people who have filled it out. Thank you and shout out to the 5 people who have filled it out. I will be closing that this Friday and choosing a time literally Friday morning. So y'all, please fill it out if you do want to be at Community Action Caucus. It is a way that we can not only reach our student body, but also hear and help them get active in the civic duty and empower our fellow constituents. All right, I yield.
Thank you, Chairman Laughlin.
And the Budget and Appropriations Committee met on Thursday. We discharged with minor amendments bills, I forgot their numbers, but the back graduation ceremony and the Labner cabinet bill. We made amendments to the Caminos bill and then tabled it until this week's meeting. That is all. I yield.
Thank you. Chair Leary.
Hi everyone, so Accessibility Caucus met today. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. We had like really good attendance and we had a guest speaker and then we also had a non-official, like a non-ACSU official student that was new come be a member, so that was fun. Engagement. So Hunter Kelly was our guest and he is a grad student. He is working on a program to have trainings and certifications for local businesses to become more accessible to intellectually and developmentally disabled people, including neurodivergent people. They're looking for survey answers and feedback from people that self-identify with these identities, and I can post that in the Teams. And then we just looked over some bills that we're seeing tonight just because they are applicable and to accessibility. So we looked over 55, 47, and 48. And just got some endorsements, but no edits obviously because we're a caucus, but I'll pass those on the committee. And then that's mostly it. We decided to do our report after spring break just because it's busy right now. And then try and get in contact with SLICE again for the Registered Student Organization training because Gilbert Falcon is out of office at the moment. And then for the accessible portable walkways allocation, I met with Madeline and we'll work on getting together a presentation by the end of spring break. And if you're interested in seeing that, like, please come to Accessibility Caucus. We do have, I believe, $15,000 that were allocated previously, just weren't fully put through. So yeah, I encourage you to come to caucus and learn about these things. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Senator Rivera, I believe is online.
Hello. Sorry, this is Chair Rivera, but I'm sorry I couldn't make it to committee and I'm sorry I canceled last minute. I was out here dying, but I'm alive. Hopefully I'll get to meet with everyone back on Monday. But we discharged everything, so I'm very happy about that. I also messed up the survey, so I'm so sorry for the 4 senators who did it early. Would you be able to just send me your name? I have Evelyn for attendance, Senator Colin, and one more senator, I can't remember the top of my name. But if you did fill it out, please send it to me. I have already brought it up to the Speaker Pro Tempore, then I am missing 4 of y'all. But thank y'all so much, and thank you for the warm messages. And like I said, I hope to see y'all next week. All right, bye. You have my time.
Chair Rivera, did you also, I just haven't looked at the UA channel, did you make the announcement on your channel that people were missed on the attendance?
I don't think so yet. I'm gonna make an announcement just to request that information, and then I'll send it again. Hopefully, since it was on me, I'm gonna give everyone time until Friday to finally send those names in, and then from there, I'll resend those in. I'm sorry about that, but thank you everyone for working with me.
Phenomenal, thank you. Chair Grenier.
So Housing Caucus met last week. We're going to meet again tomorrow at 11 a.m. That is not the official time. You got one more week with the when to meet. It is in the general channel. If you're interested in coming to it, please fill that out. We had a very short meeting. We looked into housing security for students during this upcoming lease turnover period, as well as talked about HB 26-1001, as well as several other things involving basic needs. Beyond that, please come. It's a fun time. There might be food there next time. I don't know. We'll see if I have time to get some. I yield.
Thank you. Chair Casada Stoner.
Hello guys and happy Wednesday. I was about to say Monday. It is not Monday. So I wanted to go over the legislation that we looked at. For the VAT commencement ceremony, we endorsed, and then for funding the CSU Lavender Cabinet, we endorsed, and then the Onboarding Establishment Act, we also endorsed, and then the establishing a university-wide artificial intelligence policy we also endorsed. I'm sorry guys. And then the Funding Caminos end of the year, our committee decided to sponsor. And yeah, we have committee this Friday, 5 to 6. I know it's a little late, but brownies will be provided. So if that's a motivator, please come. We love to have new people and everything. So have a great night and be safe. One more point of clarification. I am working on the plaza incident that happened with the biking and everything, and I will be collaborating with Senator Singleton. So just wanted to put that also in there. Yeah, I yield.
Awesome. Do any other chairs or chairs, committee or caucus reports? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into Senator and Associate Senator reports by first race blocker. Chair Leary.
Hi everyone. So I had a new associate. She just had to leave for a meeting, but she'll be here next time, hopefully. But that was Mackenzie. She was here for a brief moment. But I also a few weeks ago heard about the incident with the biking, and I am a member of the Disability Advisory Board for the city, and we advise City Council on disability and accessibility issues, and they have been working on getting the blue envelope more integrated with Fort Collins PD. So I just had a conversation earlier with Colleen Cipriani about she's the vice president for OIE, or Office of Inclusive Excellence, and about checking in with CSUPD if they have this basically blue envelopes, or you can put your vehicle registration and insurance in it, and it just kind of identifies you as a disabled person. It doesn't have any type of data, anything attached to it. It's just something that they give you. You don't register yourself as a disabled person. There's also a butterfly that could go on your ID, I believe, in Colorado, but beyond getting the envelopes into CSUPD, also making sure that there's training along with it. I will be working on that, and I've been trying to work on it, so yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Chair McLaughlin.
This is a secondary LSAP update because I've been driving Felicity insane today. So I've been coordinating support for the first bill LSAP endorsed, House Bill 26-1001, which is a bill to increase the supply of affordable housing in Colorado. I actually almost testified on it today, but I got out of class 5 minutes after I was supposed to testify. So, but I did submit a letter that we wrote supporting this bill. I'm going to post it in the Teams channel real quick. If anyone in here lives in Loveland, please let me know as soon as possible if you'd be willing to help me with something related to this. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Associate Senator Pratt.
Hi everyone. I'm also the Native American Cultural Center liaison here at CSU for events, but I just wanted to say that every single year we bring a famous comedian or musician here to CSU. We use your student funds for this event specifically too. But so last year we brought Marcelo Hernandez, the year before we brought Midland, we brought Janae Aiko in the past. This year we're posting, tickets will go live on Friday, but we'll announce who we're bringing tomorrow afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. Follow us on Instagram for Ram events. Also, I just wanted to say that we are also giving transportation down to the Denver March Powwow, which is the second or third largest powwow in the United States. So you guys are interested, let me know if you guys want free transportation down there as well. So I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Mendoza.
Just to add on the March Powwow, you guys should all go. It's definitely a good time. It's really fun. It's a good way to support local indigenous business in the Denver and honestly around the United States. We have a lot of vendors that come and travel here. They spend a lot of time trying to get here. They spend a lot of time making handmade jewelry, crafts, clothes. They also bring in different types of food. Let's see. Yeah, so it's a good way to not get involved, but support local indigenous communities. Yeah, you guys should definitely check it out. I will be there.
Awesome. Are there any other senator or associate senator reports at this time? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into confidence business, starting with the LSAB election. Do I hear any nominations for this position? Chair Leary.
I nominate Associate Senator Pendleton.
Associate Senator Pendleton, do you accept this nomination?
I do.
Awesome. Do I hear any other nominations for this position? Hearing none, if you want to go ahead and join us in the front. Julio, you'll have 10 minutes to present yourself, and then that'll be followed by Q&A, and then discussion, debate, and voting.
Hey y'all. I went to this position because this is like a natural trajectory for me. Because I've had about 3 years of experience working in Congress, about a year experience working in state, back in Missouri. I've also had a lot of experience working for campaigns, and a lot of the stuff I did on those campaigns was policy oriented. And what I did in Congress was also policy oriented. This past summer, I interned for Congressman Joni Goose as legislative intern. Most notably, I worked on ALES Act, which would basically grant Medicaid to, let me try to remember. It would basically make Medicaid pay for people who have pre-existing conditions to get the care that they need. That does so much more, but that's most basically the stuff that it does. But yeah, again, I've had a lot of experience in policy writing, as well as lobbying. Oh, I completely missed over that. I also have a year of experience in lobbying. I worked as a lobbyist in Congress. Part of my internship last summer was also being a lobbyist for different lobbying groups, representing over 250 different companies. It is not something that I fully endorse, I will say, but it is something that I needed the money for. But yeah, it's just to show that I do have experience lobbying, policy writing, policy legislation, and yeah, that's it, yeah.
Awesome. With that, we'll now be entering a period of Q&A by first raised placard.
Wow. I must be that great of a candidate. All right.
I guess so. Right. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, if you want to go ahead and take a step outside. I'm here to tell you all to take your hands off of your placard, so let's start over. With that, we'll now be entering a period of discussion debate by first raised placard. Chair Kasov-Stone.
I think Jack will be honestly really great for this and add a lot to LSAP. I motion to previous question.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into a period of voting. Initially, it would be by secret ballot. Chair Monty.
Motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to this means of voting? Hearing none. Is there any dissent to this candidate? Hearing none. Congratulations, Jack. And we're going to clap in a second. It's going to be so good.
Oh yeah. This is on. Okay.
I state your name,
I, Jack Pendleton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations. And with that, we'll now be moving into old business, starting with Bill 5540, funding the CSU Lavender Cabinet, if our friends want to join us. Because the edits of this legislation were not sent within the 48 hours, we're going to go ahead and read them in full before we do any of our other stuff. Shout out to you.
Hi. Okay. Bill 5540, funding the CSU Lavender Cabinet. Where our first edit actually happens at the abstract. This bill allocates $7,500 from the Senate Discretionary Fund to the Lavender Cabinet for the 2026 spring-summer semesters. This cabinet provides gender-affirming garments, hygiene products, and more. There were edits to this legislation by DEI, BAC, and University Affairs. They were sponsored by BAC and endorsed by DEI and UA. There was an additional edit down here to the third therefore clause, changing the time, the sunset clause, to June 30th, 2027, and some minor spelling corrections. And I think that should be it.
Phenomenal. Do our authors accept these edits?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. With that, we'll now be entering a period of discussion debate on this piece of legislation by first raised placard. Officer Eddington.
This is actually a really good piece of legislation, and we've seen this type of bill come through a couple of times for the Lavender Cabinet, and I think we should vote yes on it. Even if not even on our own reason, we had people come in here today. We had a really good number of people, I think, come in here today during gallery input to talk about how this legislation really positively benefits students. I would urge you all to vote yes. I yield.
Thank you, Officer Eddington. Chairman Monty.
Go on, keep it very fast, very brief. I've seen the positive impact of the Lavender Cabinet in person. I've literally helped a student back when I worked at Pride obtain resources, and the ecstatic joy that I felt when I came across them later that day because they were going to a concert and they were so happy. 10 out of 10, could never take it away from me. I would love to see it again. And is there anyone else on this speakers list? I'm going to motion to exhaust the speakers list then in that case.
Is there a second? Is there any dissent? With that, no one else will be added to the speakers list.
And I will yield my time.
Awesome. Associate Senator Pendleton.
I yield my time.
Phenomenal. That's the end of the speakers list. We'll now be moving into a period of voting. Chairman Monty.
I would motion to vote with voice.
Is there a second? Is there any dissent? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and utilize a voice vote. All those in favor of the passage of this legislation, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? With that, the ayes definitely have it, and this piece of legislation passes. Awesome. With that, we'll now be moving into new business, starting with Resolution 5546, enforcing the time limits of the Senate, if our author wants to join us.
Resolution 5546, enforcing the time limits of the Senate. This resolution amends the Senate bylaws to create stricter time limits and requires consensus of the Senate to override any time limits. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna set a scene for y'all. Imagine it's 9:30 p.m. You haven't eaten for 8 hours. You're wondering why you're still on campus at 9:30 p.m. This recently happened to me, so I wrote this legislation. I think it's just a common sense enforcement of our rules. We have rules regarding time limits. I don't think we've ever actually succumbed to those rules. We always extend the time limit, which I understand there's a use for that. We have a lot of good things being said, and everyone's opinion deserves to be heard. However, we're all also students. Most of us aren't paid. Those of us that are paid aren't paid well. I myself have a full other job that takes up pretty much my entire life, which is why I'm always late here. So I think having some limits for how long things like debate, speaking can go is pretty important. And I also think that the limits for how long each person can speak is important because no one's opinion, speech, whatever, should be more important than anyone else's. I mean, in any other public body, everyone's allotted the same amount of time to speak. When I testified at the state capitol, I was given 2 minutes, and if you went beyond 2 minutes, you were unceremoniously kicked off the mic. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that we need to have more reasonable limits on how long we can let things go out. Thank you.
Thank you. That will now be entering a period of Q&A on this legislation by first raised placard. Senator Bone.
Hi, so this is something I spoke about at the beginning of Senate, about the importance of gallery input to the functioning of this body. And in your therefore one, under section C, gallery input, it says gallery, blah, blah, blah. It says individual speaking time for gallery input speakers may not be extended. And I understand what you're saying about the, like, not wanting different people to have different amounts of time and it being unfair that way. I'm wondering if you would be open to reconsidering putting strict time limits specifically just for gallery input, just because of the importance of student voices to the way that this body functions, and really the lack of input that we get from students in any other time.
I don't think I would, and I do understand the importance of gallery input. I think it is really impactful for students to come here and speak to us. However, like I said, this isn't like the stump outside. While we do serve the function of a public forum, we're not entirely a public forum. We have business to get to, and like I said before, I'm motivated by sleep and food most of the time. I want those things right now. I think having a limit for how, I mean, if I went to speak in gallery input and I only had 5 minutes, I would be okay with that. And I think having that limit encourages people to be more impactful with their words. If you can say something in 5 minutes, it's going to be really impactful versus saying something in 15 minutes, say, and you're kind of repeating your point. Not saying that anyone has, but I guess my argument with that is that while I view gallery input as very important and a way for students to speak to us, we also have any number of other manners to that, or for students to do that. And I think that something we should look into is having town halls with our constituents that are more formal than just telling people go do office hours, having an opportunity for people to actually come in and spend time with us. Actually, one thing I kind of want to do is, have any of y'all seen Mom Donnie's like 3-minute interviews with the city? That'd be really fun to do. But I think we should have gallery input, but we should have limits on how long it lasts, because we're all students. We all have a million other things to do beyond just sitting here. And honestly, sitting here is not where we're being most impactful. I'm just gonna be frank here. I agree with most of the things that have been said in gallery input. I think most of us also agree. And I don't think it's changing any of our votes at this point, even though there are other points to it. I'll yield back to you.
Yeah, so my other thought on this is, that was a really good point. Totally understand what you're saying. I think, at least in my experience being here, I think the most really I've ever seen a gallery speaker's time extended is like 2 minutes. Would you be willing to have it be have the speaker's time be 6 minutes rather than 5, just allowing for that small extension, which is typically the only extension that's ever given?
I'd actually be very open to that. I think the idea of this is that we should have the rules set out beforehand. We shouldn't be changing things on the fly like we've been doing in the past. So I think extending individual speaker time ahead of time in the bylaws could be an improvement over our current system.
Okay, perfect. That was my only concern. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Vega.
Chair, this is more of a procedural question just because I truthfully don't know. A lot of the times we've suspended the bylaws, with the whole 30-minute period. Isn't the same thing going to happen with these rules? Can they not just be suspended?
I'd like you to look at, or can you scroll down to the last therefore clause? The second to last therefore clause. Not that. Therefore clause 2. Yes. So I have a provision in this for that issue, that in order to suspend any part of the bylaws concerning a time limit, a unanimous vote of the Senate is needed. This is to ensure that if the need arises and we all feel like we need to extend time. For example, last year when we had the CRCs being threatened with closing, and we really needed to give people an output for their grievances. We suspended the time limit and allowed people to testify for 2 hours, I think. But it's there so that we can't just get wrapped up in the moment and suspend the bylaws with just a 2/3 vote. We really need everyone in agreement that, okay, we all view this as important. We all view this as an important reason for why we're here later into the night. And that's the reasoning for that.
Sexiest therefore clause I've ever seen in my life. Thank you, I yield my time.
I don't know how to address that language on the floor, but potentially refrain. We'll get back to you on that. Senator Green.
Well, I'm wondering if it's possible and something that you could possibly implement where people are more aware of how long they have, because I feel like people prepare their speeches, especially when it's students who aren't usually in this space, they prepare their speeches and they don't know how long to make it for. Like you said, at the Capitol it's 2 minutes, and then at the social work, whatchamacallit, it's 10 minutes. So I can understand why that would be confusing.
Can you put the groups on the sending list?
Oh, sure. I'll amend or tell someone to amend the sending list. I initially thought, wait, is the sending list shorter in this one? Yeah, I made it shorter because my thought is that I'm sure every time Amy Parsons gets something from us that concerns her in no manner, she gets a little bit more annoyed with us, which I don't really care about that much, but maybe a not annoyed Amy Parsons is beneficial to us. But I'll fix that. Also, in the first therefore clause, it adds a bit of extra work to our lovely speaker to clearly inform any visitors and members of the Senate on their time limit when it comes to speaking.
Point of clarification. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
Point of clarification, I don't think we're actually supposed to make the therefore forwarding clauses shorter. I've talked to Julie about this, and typically in the template, the people on the therefore clause are people were mandated to send these to, not people that were just happening to send these to.
Point of clarification, there is a set list that I can forward to you that Julie requires. I think that Amy Parsons might be one of them, but we can discuss that outside of the pertinence of this legislation.
And I can correct it. I have the list.
She is also GM.
Thank you.
Awesome. You may continue.
You were very thorough about this, and I appreciate that. I think that's all I have. I yield.
Phenomenal. Associate Senator Pendleton.
Hi, I am quite concerned about the unanimous, what? Oh, I can only ask questions? Okay. Yes, I can make what I'm saying over. Yes, okay. I am so sorry, folks. Alright. Are you at all concerned about one individual senator seizing the moment and just voting no, even though every other senator is in agreement?
I think that the Senate bylaws are rules of operation. This is how the Senate should be operating normally. And if we can't convince everyone in the Senate that we need to break the rules, I don't think we should be breaking the rules, at least with regards to how much time we spend in this chamber and doing our work each week.
Additionally, as a point of clarification, if someone were to consistently act as a contrarian, the Senate does have the ability to remove that person from the Senate session and all that fun stuff via their speaking rights. Continue. Do you have anything else that you want to ask, or did you yield?
Yeah, I yield. I thought they were making a motion.
Would you be willing to maybe think about an edit on maybe not having every single senator, but almost every single senator? Would you, I know Jack just said that, but would you consider it if we did make that edit?
I mean, if we wanted to make it 9/10 of the Senate, sure. The point of it is just to provide friction, because say we are here at 10 p.m., the confidence clock has run out, but we still have 5 items left on the agenda, and some of them are very exciting items. We need to convince everyone that, Never mind, I'll yield and I won't go past the time limit.
My goodness, just, do we want to extend the time limit or are we good? Oh, okay, coolio. Additionally, in terms of, just as an additional point of clarification of like the friction and stuff, just because we vote on it once, doesn't mean that we couldn't then motion for a period of discussion on like the previous item and then vote again and try to convince that one person. The Senate has a lot of power to do a lot of things. You're not stuck in one position. But with that, this will go ahead and be sent to Internal Affairs and DEI. And also, I would suggest the Accessibility Caucus look it over. Coolio. With that, we'll now be entering our next piece of legislation, Bill 5547, supporting open educational resources at Colorado State University.
Resolution 5547, supporting open educational resources at Colorado State University. This resolution expresses the Associated Students of Colorado State University's (ASCSU) close parentheses, formal support for the prioritization and expansion of the open educational resource (OER) close parentheses program. You have 10 minutes.
Hi everyone, this is a resolution that myself, Reese, and Victoria wrote, and if you guys can't tell, we're part of all three branches, which is something that we don't really do ever, and it's kind of cool. So this is something that you guys heard the presentation for, your guest presentation. Us three heard that same presentation about a month and a half ago. We also did not know what OER was, and we also knew that it was something really important to students that more people should know. It has saved millions. Dr. Hughesby, who was here, is a very humble woman, but herself changed her microbiology class that saves $20,000 for students every single class. That's not per year, that is per class that she teaches that one. So these are big savings that we're seeing. We're also seeing professors at our school or our research institution create their own OER materials and share it nationally, and also saving students around the nation. And so when we give money to programs like these, to do the good work that they're already doing, then we're seeing this come back. And so as Medora kind of showed that we lost funding, and then with budget cuts around the board, funding is kind of fluctuating. So they're going to faculty, they're going to students, they're going to staff, and gaining support. This is a resolution that they're taking to the state, that they're taking to administration to say, it's not just us, these faculty members who support this and volunteer in their time, it's also students who really want this. And so that's why this resolution was presented. I sent it in the Teams, it's in the newsletter. All three of us can talk about it endlessly if you guys want to learn more. I know there is more sponsorships and endorsements. Those will be added in committee. But yeah, I'll let my fellow authors talk more.
Hi, I'm Reese Cloberdance. I'm the Assistant Director of Academic Innovation for Exec. Again, Dr. Husby did the majority of the heavy lifting as far as why this is important. Obviously, this is right up the alley of my role. It's affordability, it's textbooks, it's everybody. Specific aspects of this resolution, and again, OER in general that I wanted to stress, different from day one access, you get to keep the materials forever, which as far as like institutional memory, your own academic adventures and prowesses, this gets to go with you after, which for me, I'm a big nerd, and if you're looking at graduate school or whatever, that's a big deal. And then the other piece, it's the final therefore class of this whole thing, kind of like the sucker punch of the whole thing. Making OER materials the default course option for new classes and revised classes is a way of CSU making affordability the precedent for these classes. I'm in the liberal arts major, so my textbooks are pricey, but for those folks in engineering and all these other whatever, biology, not biology, good Lord, y'all are paying thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. So again, I think it's, I don't like using the word common sense necessarily, but kind of like what Medora was saying, the benefits of this are pretty up in your face, easy to grasp, easy to digest. So we appreciate your guys' support, endorsement, sponsoring. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
And I'm just gonna speak a little bit on making sure that this is gonna be accessible to every single student. So we actually did bring in SDC in this, and so we talked to Justin, and we did have to get this submitted prior to the meeting had, but we will be adding some edits in to make sure that OER has SDC stakeholder input. So then all the material, like whenever you're trying to switch it over to accommodations, so that could be like Braille or that could be like text aid, and like other things, it'll be a lot easier for it to be fluid instead of it like taking like up to like a month to actually get it transferred, and then that student is already like halfway into the semester and doesn't have their resources or their books and materials. So we will be having that edit clause. There's an edit in a whereas and a therefore clause, but very, very grateful to Melanie and Reese. Melanie did a ton of writing on this and research, and so amazing job truly, and very excited that all three branches are on this, and it truly does support every single student, so again, really powerful.
Awesome, so interbranch. But with that, we'll now be entering a period of Q&A on this legislation by first raised placard. Coolio. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and send this off to committee. We'll be sending this to University Affairs Committee and the DEI Committee. Awesome, with that, we'll now be moving into Bill 5548, Advancing Equity in College-Specific Graduation Celebrations. If the authors want to come up, / I think they just exited the room, but it's okay.
Resolution 5548, Advancing Equity in College-Specific Graduation Celebrations. This resolution seeks to disseminate information regarding several 2026 college-specific graduation ceremonies occurring in tents and calls on the university to host all college-specific graduation celebrations in equitable indoor settings on campus. You have 10 minutes.
What's up, y'all? I think we've heard from a lot of students in these past couple weeks how much they care about these celebrations, you know? We have the all-university commencement, but having one that's so, I don't know, like special to them, like celebrating with people of their major is super important. Graduation is, you know, for first-generation students specifically, it's maybe the most monumental moment of their educational journey that they've ever had, right? A lot of these families have never seen a child graduate, and to see that in a tent, after paying, you know, up like hundreds of thousands of dollars to attend this institution, is a disservice to students. And so some of the basis for this resolution that we wrote was based on a survey that CAM had conducted. So do you want to talk about that a bit? And then I can share.
So I put the survey together. It included both questions that were like strict data points and some open response ones as well that we could pull from students. Though the survey's been open for several weeks, the primary amount of responses were collected from Monday to Friday, the week that the survey opened, and got, last time I looked, nearly 100 responses, which, again, we all saw voting last year. Like, it's hard to mobilize students to do anything, and a survey that took on average 20 minutes for people to complete, the fact that they took the time and energy to really include super thoughtful comments shows just how much students care about these issues. And what we saw really highlighted that people aren't happy about this. People didn't know this was happening in an adequate amount of time. They don't understand what's moving forward, what that's going to look like for future celebrations. We collected surveys from every single college and most departments within colleges as well. And also from classes like from freshmen through seniors. So having that experience is just amazing to see how much students care, even when they're not the class impacted. So yeah, you know, looking at this bill, I think it's a really great piece of work here. We put a lot of effort into it, and I think it tries to really get at the core of what students are concerned about and make sure that those issues are addressed adequately with administration.
I will add that the survey results are in the resources section of this legislation. There's an Excel sheet that has all of the written responses and the non-written responses. I will share real quick just a handful of written responses by students based on 2 open response questions that we had, or that Cam had made. So the first question is, in your own words, how do these commencement decisions make you feel? One student said, I feel like CSU is prioritizing certain colleges over others, and it feels very biased towards certain majors, like business and engineering, and very biased against other majors. I would love to think that CSU treats its students fairly, but this feels very systemically biased. I am honestly offended by this decision, and I feel like CSU thinks my major is inferior to others, which is pretty shitty. Another one is, finishing a degree takes years of hard work. For all of that to culminate to a celebration and a tent is insulting to the graduates, as well as a reflection on what CSU truly values. And it's not the achievements of their students. One student even said that they will not be attending their own graduation because they don't see the point of doing so in a tent. The second question, what would you like CSU administration to understand about the impact of these decisions? One student said, I want CSU admin to understand that students shell out tens of thousands of dollars annually to support and build this community, but cannot get basic communication or an appropriate space for their commencement ceremony, despite the millions this school makes. It disappoints me that I'm working towards my degree, only to be shoved in a tent outside when it's time for my commencement. This is not a high school graduation, and I am hurt to know that the quality of my graduation is not important. By doing this, there is a heavy implication that CSU does not care or prioritize their liberal arts students over other majors, which is disgustingly disheartening. This is just 4 or 5 written responses out of 90 plus per question, right? So students are hurt by this, right? This isn't us saying that we feel bad, or obviously we do, but these are our constituents, right, who are genuinely hurt by this decision. You know, I think a lot of families fly out, they drive from other states, they have hotel rooms, they help stimulate the Fort Collins economy. And the culmination of it all is sitting in a tent in May where it could be snowing, it could be blazingly hot. There's grass, there's accessibility concerns, audio-visual concerns, all sorts of things. That would make it really sad, you know, for families to travel all this way just to see their child treated in such a manner. And so, not only are we upset by what's happening in this decision to place certain majors into tents, we're upset by the lack of transparency, the lack of explanation. You know, admin kind of just said, this is what it is. These majors were chosen to be in tents, and you have to reckon with that. And I find it sad that students aren't even planning on attending their own graduation celebrations out of embarrassment, out of not wanting to sit in a tent for hours.
Covered what I was going to say, so.
Thank you. That will now be entering a period of Q&A on this legislation by First Vice Placard, Officer Eddington.
For the third therefore clause, I have 2 questions. I'm going to ask them both at once, and then you can answer them. Is that allowed? We're just going to go with it. So, what does complete transparency look like to you, and what does explaining the reasoning behind these decisions?
I would suggest separating them by each.
What does complete transparency look like to you?
I would like to see an email to all students in the student body.
Okay. Is that the whole answer?
Yep.
Okay. Now I have another question. It's a pretty high bar that has to be met for an email to be sent out to the entire student body, and that's a bar that's typically only met when there are police incidents on campus. How do you think this rises?
I mean, most students get source emails by the university. I mean, I get university emails every single day. I think that this is severe enough.
Hi. So we're not going to interrupt each other.
Okay, I'm sorry, Noah.
So, you did answer the question. It was just gonna be your perspective on how this rises to that threshold. Thank you. And my third question, what does explaining the reasoning in this same clause, what does explaining the reasoning behind these decisions do for students?
Yeah, kind of that, and also just to add something onto your last point and question, in the survey, like one of the questions was, how did you find out about this? It was overwhelmingly through word of mouth. I think one of the reasons that seeing this email would be so beneficial is because we saw like pretty much nobody had learned about this from the university itself. And I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it is in the resources of that bill again, or in the Lex again, but and then in terms of, sorry, could you repeat that second part of your question? I got you.
There was no second part. I was just asking what explaining the reasoning,
Yeah.
what does that do?
Yeah, so right now there hasn't been anything really released explaining why Warner College of Ag and Liberal Arts has been placed in this venue location as opposed to other colleges. And if you go through and you look at the written responses, that is something that students asked for and wanted to see. And so being able to actually go in and see what were the criteria here, because it can't be just amount of students, because you have College of Ag and Warner, which are two of the smallest colleges, and then you have Liberal Arts, which is one of the biggest colleges. So I think some reasoning there as to how were these decisions made as to what colleges would be placed in these venues would be really beneficial.
I think you go back to the fall with free speech, right? I think a lot of the frustrations lied in not hearing reasoning for the decision. Not only did something happen, it's that something happened and students were forced to make assumptions about it. I don't want to assume that the universe, and I won't assume, that these three colleges. Like, I think that's absurd, right? But there's students in this survey who are feeling really sad that their college was chosen. And I think that they have a right as members of that college to hear what went into that decision. Because I think if we don't hear what went into that decision, they'll be left to explain it in their own minds. And it's easy to jump to conclusions, and all that does is create more hostility between the students and admin. This isn't meant to be some like huge call out shot to admin. It's really supporting these students who feel like they're just left in the dark about this, that they're just placed into a tent, said this is the situation and you have to accept it. And I think a lot of students would feel better if admin made a statement saying, it's not that we just hate your college, right? Like, this is why we chose these three colleges, because I'm sure they do have a reason.
Thank you both. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Garvin.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, does this also involve grad students? And if we were to like pass on a bill, what would like the outcome look like for these next upcoming graduates, and how within the next years? Because what the question I have is like, what if admin, like the administration does this again? What will you guys do to like not let this happen again? Thank you.
Yes, to answer your first question, yes, it does include graduate students. To answer your second question, I believe historically, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but historically graduation has been held in Moby Arena, which had solved all the accessibility concerns that we have in this bill. Going forward, I think it's just also just again like Ben said, was just having admin explain why this is happening, because I feel like that's a key part that we're missing in this too. So.
Thank you, I yield.
Awesome. With that, are there any other questions for our authors? Seeing none, this will go ahead and be sent to University Affairs and DEI. With that, we'll now be moving into ending roll call. Senator Roberts.
I move to use ending roll call, or beginning roll call as ending roll call, and anyone who is late, please go to the front and add your name to the list.
Phenomenal. Is there a second? Is there any dissent? Didn't expect any. And with that, we adjourn.